And welcome back. Well, we have Lauren Macias-Cervantes back with us today from TxDOT for our community conversations. A lot to cover, especially with that I-10 Widening West project. I know some of us drive through. I know a lot of the girls here drive through there daily. So what is the update about that area, Lauren?
Yes, I'm stuck in there too. There is a lot going on behind barrier, and we're going to start on the far west side of the project. That's where crews are working behind barrier near I-10 East by Vinton. They're working on leveling up locations for the future third lane and retaining walls. You may have noticed I-10 will be higher in that area, and it's going to be higher in that final configuration, so adjustments need to be made. They're also working on the future on-ramp there for Vinton. The widening in that area has also required the reconstructing of new wider bridges, so they've worked on 2 bridges in that area. Now heading on further onto Los Mochis, you may not be able to see all the activity as crews there are working below ground level. This is some video from yesterday where we saw workers are working on drainage installation while others are working on retaining walls up above, and you will be able to see those when you drive by. Now work is also advancing on the future interchange, as I just mentioned, with crews placing forms on the back wall of the bridge. Now we are seeing a lane closure in this area this week for riprap and ponding area this week. So as this work progresses in that area, you will continue to see those lane closures. I know yesterday, I was stuck before, the closure was supposed to start. Crews got a little ahead of themselves, but, we let them know, don't start those, and it's very important, and we remind them. So don't, you shouldn't expect to see that closure until 9 o'clock, but you'll continue to see those in that area.
And you have some good news for drivers this week.
Yeah, so some exciting news. The new permanent Canutillo on-ramp to I-10 East is scheduled to open on Friday at 6 a.m. or sooner. Now, the on-ramp used to be located in front of Tractor Supply and is now located in front of the Volvo dealership. That's a 1 mile difference, so pay attention. Watch for a full closure Thursday night to prepare for the opening. Now, this means that people won't have to wait and go up to wait up in that light, at Artcraft to get back on I-10. So this is some great news for drivers. But again, this is 1 mile, a 1 mile difference from the previous ramp. Now it's going to be in front of the Volvo dealership. Now we're also talking about progress on Thorn. The progress there can be seen on the future Thorn Bridge. Now this is from late last week. Columns for the new bridge went up. And this morning I passed and the cap's already up there and workers are already up. So it's changing rapidly. We are seeing an overnight closure. We saw one last night and tonight so that they can remove the forms in that area. Now lane closures in this area will continue as crews work on grading gradual lifts for the future retaining walls that will allow for those future bypass lanes. Now, it's very important. People have commented on our Facebook page, oh, great, you're just building another bridge. Why did you throw down the other one? Well, remember that this new bridge is going to be taller. It's going to be wider. And in that area, they're making space for those future bypass lanes. So you won't need to go through that Thorn intersection anymore. You can just take those bypass lanes once that work in that area is completed.
Now, all crews do work at night, and on the weekends sometimes there is less traffic. Is that correct?
Yes, and so our crews both in construction and in maintenance, so we just wanted to briefly give you a look at that. So on Sunday we saw a 4-lane closure on I-10 from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now crews worked diligently to repair a pothole patch located at a bridge joint on I-10 East between Buena Vista and Mesa. So crews, have to remove all the damaged concrete, clean up, and then place the new concrete.
It's a process.
So yeah, so it's work that it's not just like patching. They do have to take the time to remove everything that's damaged and then replace it. So we do want to let people know that we do our best to work overnight, to work on weekends and in the before traffic starts, when it's possible.
So we've been reporting on back to school here at the station, especially starting last month, and this week finally the last, school districts are back in school. And I know that you have more information, not just some safety tips, but I know you have more information about crashes and what we've seen on the roadways.
Yeah, so in addition to the 748 crashes that occurred in Texas school zones last year, there were also 2,523 collisions involving school buses, and that is statewide. Now, that resulted in 11 people killed and 63 seriously injured. Now, the most common crashes were preventable driver behaviors like speeding, distracted driving, and failure to yield the right-of-way. So we want to remind people, now that school is back in session, be aware, traffic patterns around the school may have changed since the last school year. You also want to keep an eye on children gathered at bus stops. Watch for children who may not be paying attention. They might dart across the street or between vehicles. You want to stay alert and put your phone away. Now, we want to remind everyone, using a handheld electronic device while driving in an active school zone is against the law, and the penalties for that have increased. We also want to remind everyone, stop and yield the right-of-way to a pedestrian, bicyclist, or any vulnerable road user in a crosswalk. Now, seriously injuring someone who is lawfully in a crosswalk is now a state jail felony, as I just mentioned. It's tougher now. You want to obey school zone speed limits, and remember, traffic fines increase in school zones as well. Know where to go if you're, dropping off at a new school or a new location. Know where those designated areas are, and don't drop off students in the middle of the street. Very important. And plan enough time, right? Because there's a lot happening. You got to pack lunches, make sure they have their homework. You might have multiple children that you have to get to school, plus you as an adult, maybe you got to get to work on time. Plus there's traffic and all these other things that you need to consider. So plan accordingly. Don't drive distracted, and make sure that you follow those rules.
And that's when people are mostly rushing, is in the mornings, and that's why they stop where they go. They stop and drop off the kiddos, and that's like, don't do that.
So very important, because we don't want anyone to get hurt.
Well, if you are just tuning in and you missed this community conversation, you can take a look there at this community conversation on our website, KFOX14.com. Well, thank you, Lauren, for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Tuesday.
Thank
and don't
you.
go anywhere. We'll be back with more news, weather, and traffic. You're watching the KFOX 14 Morning News coverage you can count on.